My mom created a fun way for us to learn the most important rules of life. Yah's command.
With Yah's Big Ten Commands, we get to see His what's best for us.
Keep Yah first.
No graven images.
Don't take Yah's name in vain.
Remember Shabbat and keep it holy.
Honor your parents.
Do not kill.
Mr. and Mrs., don't cheat.
Don't steal.
Don't tell lies.
Don't covet.
This changes everything. Get your set of Yah's Big Ten Commands at Big Ten Designs today.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in here today. We know that this is the day that many people are celebrating, that pagan day, but we want to celebrate the truth of Yah and His word. And I'm so excited for today because I have a very, very special guest that's coming in. And I want to give a shout out to all of you who are coming in. Go ahead, do me a favor, hit those thumbs up, get those thumbs up as you come into the building. I see y'all coming in here, and I'm so glad because, listen, y'all, The discussion that we're going to talk about today is one that has been on all of our hearts and our minds as the Most High continues to reveal things to us, waking us up to our true identity, waking us up to our true Israelite heritage. And he's not only doing that for us in the diaspora, he's doing that for our brothers and sisters all over the world, and specifically on the continent. Yes, the continent of Africa, the motherland. And I'm so excited because today we get an opportunity to spend some quality time from a brother who is from the continent. Okay, he is directly from the continent, and I'm going to let him tell his own story. I'm going to let him share with y'all his background, where he was born, his family, all of that information. So do me a favor, as I said, get the thumbs up and share if you have not already done so. Now, before I bring this brother on, what I want to do is tell you a little bit of the backstory here. So a couple of weeks ago, actually, I was scrolling through my feed, right? I'm scrolling through YouTube, and I see an interview by Something with Danane. Shout out to Something with Danane channel. And as y'all know, that he's interviewed Ron Dalton a lot. But I saw this new brother that was being interviewed, and he was talking about Bantu, he was talking about Israel. And so I clicked on and I watched the interview, and I listened as he was explaining. I watched the entire interview, and I was listening as he was explaining our heritage and how in the Bantu tradition and Bantu cultures, is so much of it lines up with scripture. So I'm listening to this brother, and I'm like, this brother is, this is awesome. He is directly from the continent, and yet he is able to articulate and bring in what he knows for himself, what he's seen and heard for himself, the culture, and tie it into the scriptures. And I thought that was so amazing. So fast forward just a few days later, I think maybe like 1 or 2 days later, I get an email from a sister who I haven't heard from in probably a year. But as soon as I saw her email, I knew who she was, because she was helping me with the 714 movement. Shout out to those of you who help us with the 714 movement, our corporate prayer initiative. And so I opened up the email, and it was Sister Sarah talking about this very brother who is coming on to the channel today. His name is Yahunde Batakane. He is the author of an amazing book called Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar. And I'm going to show y'all a picture of that in just a minute. And then I'm going to bring this brother on so that he can share his story. But this is his book right here, Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar, and is available on Amazon, an ebook, paper book, and hardcover format for y'all to grab your copy. So I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit of a bio about him, and then I'm going to bring him on, and y'all give him a hearty shalom from Ashanda at Large. All right, Yahunde Yahunde Batakane. All right. He is an author, researcher, and public speaking advocate for the revival and preservation of African heritage, spirituality, and cultural identity. With a focus on the history and traditions of the Bantu biblical Israelite people, Batakane seeks to uncover and reinterpret Bantu African knowledge systems that have been marginalized or forgotten. He is known for his thought-provoking theories that challenge mainstream narratives and encourage a deeper exploration of Bantu African identity and heritage. In his notable work, Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar, Batakane explores the significance of the Bantu calendar system and presents his argument that the Bantu people are the descendants of the biblical Israelites. The work serves as both a historical exploration and a call for cultural revival. Yahunde Batakane's work has sparked interest, debate, and reflection among readers, scholars, and historians. His perspectives challenge conventional views and encourage a re-examination of Bantu heritage, culture, and identity. As an author and thought leader, Batakane continues to inspire discussions about the importance of embracing and preserving Bantu traditions in the modern world. So with all of that said, I want to welcome in our special guest, Yahunde Batakane, to Ashanda at Large. Shalom, salama, welcome, my brother. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, salama.
Hi, great.
I'm struggling to hear you because of there's an audio problem.
Uh-oh.
For me,
is there
from my end?
On your end? Okay, so what I will do is I will mute myself.
It's just breaking.
Do me a favor, everybody put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. And also, we're going to test out to make sure that Yahunde is also able to be heard clearly. Do me a favor and put the 1 in the chat. Okay. All right. So we have some 1s coming in. All right. Now, Yahunde, do me a favor and you speak and I will put on mute.
I'm struggling to hear anything really. It's I don't know if I can you hear me? Is my sound okay?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Okay. I'll go on. But I'm struggling to really understand anything. But I'll go on. Salama, everyone. My name is Yahunde Batakane. I am originally from the Congo, and I'm glad to be from the continent of Africa. Smack bang in Central Africa, the Congo region. And I'm honored to be here with you all to be able to share not only my work but also just my experience really, of the land, of being Bantu, but also being awakened as well. And so I hope that we'll be able to engage and be able to really interact in a most almost like learn from each other in one way or another. So I'm definitely looking forward to all of you engaging with me. But with just a little bit of background of my story is that I was born in the Congo, grew up in the Congo, and then I left home when I was like somewhere around 15, and I moved to Kenya, where I lived for about 10 years, and then from Kenya I moved to Australia, where I lived for about 10 years as well. And then from that point onward, I found myself being called to return back home. And so I moved back to the continent, and I've been here ever since 2023. I've been back on the continent, and I'm just happy to be able to be here. And I'm now married. I'm married, and I got married as soon as I got back, which is really the Most High is doing. And married to a beautiful wife, and I have a son now. It's just really, I think for me, when I talk about this, is that I imagine myself doing certain things before getting married, but then the Most High is real. It's always, unpredictable, or I guess not always what we expected. What we expect, and so I find myself back on the continent, so I could do everything else after. So yeah, it's been such a blessing, and I'm really just looking forward to connect with you all. Thank you.
So everyone, what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me talking to my phone. Because he's having audio issues, I'm going to be recording and asking him to check the messages so that he can hear the actual questions that I'm going to be asking him, because you all can hear me fine and you can hear him fine, but he can't hear me fine. So when you see my phone up like this is why. There will be some delay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the questions that I want to ask Yahunde. And thank you all again for coming in, and do me a favor and hit that like button. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Yahunde a question right now for him to share with all of us. Okay. Yahunde, can you do us a favor? Can you tell us what the word Bantu in itself means?
Oh man, I'm struggling with this. What would you think?
Yahunde, can you do us a favor and can you tell us what the word Bantu in itself
Okay.
means?
All right. Thank you. I had that part. I'm struggling with the audio. I really don't know what's going on, and I pray to the Most High that this audio be restored so that we can continue in a more proper way. But yeah, so where does the word Bantu come from? And I think that's a very amazing question, because that's what my book is about, and I call it my book is called Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar. And in that saying, and then the series of my book is called My People Who Are Called by My Name. And the reason why I picked up that particular word is because my people who are called by my name is speaks deeply from the people of the Most High. who are called by my name. And the Bible says that if my people are called by my name shall humble themselves and seek my face, and turn away from wickedness, and that I will heal their land, and that I will restore them, that they will be my people, and I'll be their creator. I'll be their, most high again. So when you think about that, and so the question that people usually ask, the question that comes to mind for me was my people. And then most people, when they hear the word Bantu, right, they think what Bantu literally, when you Google the word Bantu, they will tell you it means people. People don't really get to ask what does people means, like why a particular group of people is called people. What about everybody else? Are they no people? Are they no humans? But then when you think about, when you go in depth of the word Bantu, what Bantu came from, then you start to realize why a particular group of people are called people, my people. And then when you go to the word, the scripture that say, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, then you begin to understand something that's really deep in here. My people, my Bantu, Bantu people. And then when you hear when you try to break down the word Bantu, the word Bantu streams from an original word, which is Abantu. That's the original word for Bantu. Abantu can be broken down into two words. We have the word Aba and the word Ntu. The word Aba in Swahili and many other Bantu languages, the word Aba means father, right? And then the word Ntu in Zulu, for instance, and many other tribal Bantu languages, it means nation. So when you're saying Abantu, you are saying the father's nation. You are saying the creator's nation. Just by speaking the word Abantu, you are saying the Most High's nation. And this is so when the Bible says, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves, if my people, the people of the Father, which is Abantu in Bantu languages. And so when you think about that for a second, you're like, the Most High is talking about a particular group of people. That's why he's calling them my people. And these people, we know them today as Bantu people. The Bantu people are not just the people you see in Africa. Africa has almost, I would say, 600 tribes now that identify as Bantu people. And then within these 600 tribes, you find many. If you look at the history, for instance, the history of slavery, whether we're talking about the Arab slave trade, we're talking about the European slave trade, mainly I'll start off with the Arab slave trade. During the Arab slave trade, many of the people that the Arabs were looking for when they were coming to Africa to enslave people, they are looking for Bantu people, whom the Arabs themselves regarded as the people of the book when they came on the continent. You can find this stuff on the internet. They are all over. And then when the Arabs enslaved Bantu people, they took a lot of them and took them into to the Indian Ocean and shipped them to different parts of of Asia. And you find tribes today that are as far as India who identify as Bantu, the Sidi tribes in India and many other tribes in the Middle East and Asia who recognize their ancestry from within Africa. And then when after the Arabs, then came the Europeans. During the transatlantic slave trade. This time, the Europeans were looking for the same people. We know this because we look at we look at the speech by King Leopold II, who was sending his missionaries to the Congo. The Bible, he said to them, when you go to that region of the country, you are not going to teach those people God. They already know him. Their ancestors walked with God. That's what he says himself. And you can find the speech of King Leopold II on Google as well, where he says they know him by Nzambi, Tulendo, and they know that they know every commandment. They know that to steal, to kill, to lie, to sleep with somebody's wife is sin. That you're not going to teach them what they already know. So these Bantu people that we're talking about are the same people that when you look at their history, for instance, the slavery, many of the enslaved people spoke Bantu languages. And how do we know this? We know this when you look at the books such as the Central Africa and the Caribbeans. This is one of the books that goes into deep of like the linguistics, the music, the culture. the cultural heritage of the Bantu in South America. And then when you look at the book like the Bantu speaking heritage of the United States, this book explains significantly the presence of Bantu, even expressions in food, in culture, in music, in everything that African American do that are very Bantu, and so, it's ridiculous amount of evidence to prove again that these people are a specific group of people. And I will go back to the word Abantu, which means the Most High Father's people. These Father's people are the same ones scattered in every part of the world to this day. And remember the Bible says that Abraham's seed will be multiplied like the sand of this, or like the sea sand, or like the stars in the sky. We are looking at 600 Bantu tribes on the continent alone, without adding Brazil, which is the largest, presence of Black people outside of the continent. These are many of the Brazilians can't trace themselves back to the Congo, to the Bantu people. You look at places like I don't know if any of you have read about the Quilombo Kingdom, or that emerged within Brazil by Nzumbi. Nzumbi was a descendant of the Congo, or that was a Bantu who was enslaved into Brazil, and then he freed himself. And then from that, he was able to free thousands of other people and build a kingdom within, I guess, an oppressive territory, and maintain it for over 40 years. So you find places like, Palenque in Colombia. These are Bantu people. You find the Galaguchi, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Galaguchi people, in the United States, in the South. These are all Bantu people. So the word Bantu is almost like it's a relational word. When you think about it, why a particular group of people are called Bantu, and the rest of the people are called what? I mean, the question that everybody usually asks, what are they? What about everybody else? Of course, everybody else is a people too. But there's a reason why the Bible refers to, every time the Bible says, my people, my people. There's so many verses. If you try to look at how many times the Bible says my people specifically, is speaking about a particular group of people. And every other people, when the Bible says, my people are called by my name, is not talking about everybody. Everybody is people too, but there's a particular group of people. Abantu, the people of the Father, the seed of the Father that he set apart for himself. And these are the people that we find, and I'm glad that we are talking about this today, because it's an opportunity for us to be able to, I see this only obviously like a two stick coming together, where we're able to talk about this conversation with Sister Ashanda, and just really looking forward to more questions, in regard to this point.
Thank you so much, Yahunde, for the explanation. That is powerful. Abunte, meaning Abba, Father, Unte, or Ntu.
Abantu,
meaning,
yeah.
Meaning nation. Okay, so Father's nation. That's amazing. Now, you spoke about diasporans, right? You talked about African Americans and Caribbeans in particular being a Bantu culture, but the colonizers have they've been able to separate us and make us feel like there's no connection, there's no similarities in culture. So we don't necessarily right off the bat see ourselves in alignment with what is considered quote unquote African culture, African heritage. Can you give us an idea of some of the similarities that you're referring to that make us all connect back as the people of the book?
Are we talking about the similarity in terms of language? And let me just quickly pay it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Yahunde, for that. You spoke about diasporans, right? You talked about African Americans and Caribbeans in particular being a Bantu culture, but the colonizers have been able to separate us and make us feel like there's no connection, there's no similarities in culture. Okay. So we don't necessarily right off the bat see ourselves in alignment with what is considered quote unquote African culture or African heritage. Can you give us an idea of some of the similarities that you're referring to that make us all connect back as the people of the book?
That's very thank you for the question. Sorry, it just takes me longer to be able to answer because I can't hear you clearly from here. But again, you're right. We've been separated for so long, you know, and they've tried so in so many ways to try to divide us, you know, so that we don't, if you like, we don't remember, you know, who we are. But when you look at the, for instance, my wife and I, we talk about certain foods, you know, that are very much African, you know, they're very much Bantu. My wife likes to make me, what's the food again? Color greens, you know. When you look at color greens, when you come here on the continent of Africa, color greens is a very, I mean, in the US, it's a very traditional African American dish. When you come on the continent, color greens is what we call sukuma wiki. Sukuma wiki is a very African. When you go to Kenya, when you go to Congo, when you go to Tanzania, is a very special dish that most people, when you go to the market, that's the cheapest that everybody can afford. Everybody can have a meal of sukuma wiki, you know, for dinner. And so when you think about other stuff like what do you call them? I think it's the there's the beans. I think we call them we call them what do you call them? There's a bean that people eat in the States. We call them cow beans, but we call them, but in Swahili we call them ndengu on the continent. When you look at the cow beans actually are a very African American meal, and the cow beans, I think, is what people called as black eyed peas, right? Black eyed peas, if I'm not mistaken, black eyed peas is a very African American dish.
That's what I thought it was talking about.
Now, when you go to Africa, when you come here on the continent, black eyed peas are very, like when you go to Congo. The other day, I was actually speaking to my mom, and you know, and she told me, you know, she would say she just growing some, we call them kunde. She's growing some kunde in front of her house, you know, and I'm like, and I told my wife, she's like, oh wow. Again, every time she makes this food, it's not for me. It's not new, you know. It's not something new. I'm like, you know this? She's like, yeah. And so there's so many other like food in terms of just food itself. There's so many factors that connect African Americans to the continent. The other thing that I would add to that maybe is the cornbread. I would say, you know, the cornbread in Africa. You would be surprised how many people use corn and make even bread out of them and different other dishes that are very African American. And so, my wife would tell me that when you go to the South, you'll actually be able to enjoy. You almost be like you're on the continent, you know. Brother Timothy loves cornbread, and I mean black eyed peas, and I agree. We eat cornbread. You know, it's very African. There's so many dishes that are very African as well as African American. Now, when we leave the food aside, you know, when you try to go to, like, for instance, the music industry, African Americans are known for being the most musical people, right? When an African American person sings for you, it's the end. You know what I'm saying? Like it's final. You know. When you go to the continent too, when you look at the people that have the most beautiful voices on the continent, the Bantu people, you know, you hear when you ask anybody about I'm Congolese, but I'm not trying to brag or anything. But when you ask anybody from the Congo, anybody from Africa, whether they know about the Congolese music, it's a very most known. They know that the Congolese people know how to sing. When you hear about the South African, I mean, the Zulu people, everybody know that the Zulu person, when they start to sing, your heart melts, you know. So these are all our people in every four corners of the world, you know. And so this particular music, the music itself, when you look at the South America, for instance, the samba music, you know, all this genre of music that are played in South America, they are streamed. They all come from the rumba music. The rumba music is an African genre. Is a Central African music genre that spread out, that has given birth to a lot of other music genres, you know. And then when you look at the what other fact I would like to add to that, I think when you look at the language, there's certain accent, there's certain there's certain accent. Yeah, I agree with what the comment. I just so you say you can take an African American out of Africa, but you can't take Africa out of them, and I agree. Whatever Bantu people went, they preserved their culture with the food, the music, they dance. We are known for that, for just dancing, coming up with new. And if you are on the continent, you'll be surprised. Every time, every season, there's a new dance. There's a new dance style. And the same thing for African American. The music, the dance, it's in the blood. And this is very, when you hear you hear about the Angolans. In terms of Angolans are known all over the world for coming up with new dance styles every single time. And so when you look at I think my wife, because obviously I haven't been to the States, but most of the information that I have is really just rooted in, it's very much academic, if you like. But when I sit with people from the United States and they share with me certain things, and I'm like, that's pretty much us. And certain expressions, like when people say, what's up, and here on the continent, when African Americans say, what's up, on the continent, it's in Swahili, for instance. When you go to Tanzania, when you go to Congo, they would say "bikwa," which means "what's up." We have this expression. When you go to Tanzania, they would say "mambo," or "let a story," which means "what's up." Tell a story, give a story. What's going on? And so it's the same exact. You find, even though you speak English, you maintain the expressions, the excitement. And remember, Bantu languages are very tonal languages. When you meet an African Americans, they say they are very loud. People like to say that African Americans are loud. Well, go to Congo and see for yourself. You find the most loud people, I would say. Like people that are just excited. They are very expressive. They're tonal. Whether they're speaking English or French or Swahili or any language, really, Kikongo, they are very tonal people, or Zulu. So there's a lot of things that could go around sharing. But this is just you'll be surprised when you come to the continent. You'll be surprised a lot of stuff. You'll just be walking the street like, man, oh my God, that too, oh man, because there's so many things that you find yourself like you're home. The food, the music, even the behavior of people. And you find the connections, the similarities everywhere, because our people, despite being scattered, despite being separated from their land, they know they maintain certain traditions, certain that kept them intact, that ensure that they are to preserve, because then that's really the power of culture. Culture, as much as it is demonized by religions, culture is the reason why we are able to know that we are the biblical people. It's because when you look at some things that we do, you look at the Bantu people, for instance, they historically have been proven to be the only people that invented male circumcision. When you look at the Bible, circumcision is the covenant, between Abraham and the Most High. He says you have to circumcise your children from this day onward. So that's the tradition of the Bible. So the culture is not. I'm not. Despite, of course, all the other pieces that we picked up from other, nations that we involved, that we came in contact, our culture still strongly remain Hebraic, and all the food that I just shared with you, all those food, none of them is not biblical dietary law. It breaks the dietary law. Whether we're talking about cornbread, whether we're talking about the cowpeas and what's not, all these color greens, all these dietary laws. They don't break any of that. The music, the dance, all this proves. Remember the Israelites were very known for singing. The Bible says that David would sing and dance until his clothes fell on him. The expression of that, it's to emphasize the dance, to emphasize the efforts that Bantu people put into dancing. When they dance, when they praise the Most High, whether they do it to praise the Most High or not, the talent is there. The calling, the passion and the music within the music is there. And so when we awake to who we are as a biblical people, you can imagine how we'll be dancing, praising the Most High again. So all praises.
Thank you so much for all of that great information about culture and similarities. I will be one of the first to tell you that I absolutely love seeing my brothers and sisters on the continent get down and dance. Hands down, listen, no African American, I said it, no Caribbean, none of us can touch the brothers and sisters on the continent when it comes to dance. It's just everything. So I love that you shared that with us. I want to go ahead and I want to get into some of the things that you shared in your book, okay? Because that's what we're here to talk about. When we're talking about this culture, we're talking about Bantu, we're talking about understanding who we are as a people, right? But something that you said in your book really stood out to me. You said, my simple approach is that if we are the biblical people, which our Bantu customs proved irrefutably,
Yes.
why then seek knowledge from people the scriptures call the SOS? That's what we're going to say. Why follow their calendar and pray to their gods? Now, that is a very profound question. So I'd like to dissect that a little bit. We're going to start with the idea of biblical customs versus Jewish customs. Many of us coming out of Christianity are ingrained with the idea that the Jewish customs are the biblical customs. So please help us to understand the difference between the two cultures, Bantu, Israel, and Jewish.
I'm gonna listen to it.
Thank you so much for all of that great information about charities. I will be one of the first to tell you that I absolutely love seeing my brothers and sisters on the continent get down and dance. Hands down. Now, for those of you who are just coming in, he cannot hear me on his end, so I have to put it through on my phone for him to hear it. So he is listening, and then he will answer as he hears me. The things that you shared in your book, okay? Because that's what we're here to talk about. When we're talking about this culture, we're talking about Bantu, we're talking about understanding who we are as a people. Right, but something that you said in your book really stood out to me. You said, my simple approach is that if we are the biblical people. While he continues to listen to the question, for those of you who are coming in, do me a favor and get the thumbs up. The enemy wants to stop this interview, but all praises to the Most High. It is not going to stop. This information and truth is going to come out. Get those thumbs up and get those shares. And thank you for those of you who already have been giving by way of CashApp. If you would like to give, you can do so on Superchat or Super Thanks as well. Super Thanks for afterwards and Super Sticker for currently. So thank you so much for those of you who are already giving.
I really apologize for, like, you know, the this back and forth of the audio. I don't know what's going on, but thank you so much for that, for being patient with us. And the good question that I like the way you asked in terms of and I think that's really is the core foundation of my book. I think when you asked what's the what makes the difference between that, because obviously traditionally it's very easy for somebody when they wake up when they come into the awakening, you know, and they realize that they're Israelites. And often people will say, oh, they stole our culture, they stole our identity. You know, they will start off by saying they stole our identity. And then because that's true, right, then they start to go deeper into and say they stole our language. They start to say they stole our culture, they stole our land. And then you're like, and then people will direct themselves, you know, to the land over there. They will direct themselves to the language over there. Then they'll direct themselves to the traditions over there. You know, when you start looking into it, start doing deep research, you're like, oh, wait a minute, is this really us? You know, first of all, when you read Revelations chapter 9 to chapter 2 verse 9, or chapter 3 verse 9, it says it calls the Jewish people as the synagogue of Satan, right? So what's that word means? What is a synagogue of Satan? When you think about that, take a second to think about that. What is synagogue? Why is this people referred to as the synagogue of Satan? A synagogue is what? It's an altar. It's a place of worship. When the Most High called them the synagogue of Satan, which means that everything they do is part of the synagogue of Satan. That includes the language that they speak. That includes the music that they listen to. That includes the culture that they practice. When you do a deep dive into the Jewish culture, the Kabbalah culture. That's actually is the Jewish culture. The fundamental Jewish culture is the Kabbalah culture. When you dive into that, just do a quick dive in, and you'll be surprised by how demonic. It will make sense to you why the Mosai call them the synagogue of Satan, because their tradition, they do a lot of stuff there that there's some video that I've circulated on the internet where you find a rabbi with a chicken, waving it, on people's heads. That's stuff you only see someplace in West Africa, when they're practicing voodoo, right? That's what the Jewish people is rooted in. Now, when you don't, the problem is when I would say maybe the vast majority of us, when we awake, we are told that we are the Israelites, right? And that's beautiful, and that's amazing, and that's very important. Know that. Now, after that, then comes the question, what am I? I would say for me, for instance, as a Bantu, because there's two factors here. There's an African-American waking into the Israelites nationhood or identity, and then there's a Bantu, I say a continental Bantu. I would say African-American, I like to say international Bantu that wakes up into their identity of being the Israelites. And while a continental Bantu, when they wake up into their identity as being the Israelites, there's two factors that differ here. The African American, when he awake to his Israelite identity, and this is not for everybody, this is only for a small number of people. I'm not saying it's inclusive of everybody, because I've met African Americans who have been able to just dismantle everything, because African Americans were deprived of their culture, right? It becomes almost like compulsory, or almost like natural for them to jump to Judaism, because they don't, their culture was taken from them, so they jump to Judaism because as soon as they believe that they're Israelites and that's who they are, and that's true, and there's nothing that can question that. The next thing is that they jump to is Judaism. They start to look at how to keep the feast days. They start following whatever the Jewish people are doing. They follow the Jewish calendar. They follow the Jewish traditions, and all this stuff. What they don't realize is that that's not their culture. And now the difference between what will happen to a Bantu, not every Bantu. There are also Bantu people who would wake up to their, on the continental Bantu, who can wake up to their Israelite identity and still identify with the Jewish people, like the Lemba brother in South Africa. Many of them believe that they are genetically connected to the Jewish people in the Middle East. So this is not limited to one particular group of people. What I'm saying is, because in Africa people have the culture, right? And they can look at the culture. But now there's layers to the Bantu, the continental Bantu. One is a Bantu brother who awakened to the Bantu, their Israelite identity. And because they were all their lives in Christianity, because if you grew up in the church here, if you grew up as a Muslim here, you don't know, most people who grew up in the church, they believe their Bantu culture is demonic. Every Bantu person that grew up in the church, that grew up in Islam, they were told from a very early age, programmed to believe that their culture is demonic. And African Americans were programmed as well that Africa is just backward. Nothing is going on over there, right? That the culture, people there, they're just killing each other and nothing. So that negative association of Africa, portrayal of Africa, goes deep into our subconscious, to the point that the first thing we want to reject is Africa. That's why you hear a lot of brothers who are saying, whoa, the African over there, those are our Hamites. Those are not our people. Because again, Africa was programmed into their mind as something negative, something to stay away from, something bad. But when you start to look, and now the continental Africa, there's the one that grew up in the church, because they don't have any cultural background, they will quickly dismiss the culture, and are ready to even reject everything that they are to be able to become Jewish. What most people don't realize is that that's conversion. You are being converted to something else. Now, the difference, my point that I'm trying to share here is when you awake as being a Bantu, as being an Israelite, I've shared books that talks about how Bantu the African Americans are Bantu, South American brothers are Afro-Caribbeans, and the rest are all Bantu. When you realize that because you are Bantu, you are also an Israelite. The question that arises: what culture did my people practice before they were taken to the US? What culture did my people practice before they became Christians? If you were Bantu and you were taken from the continent, which that's a fact, then, and your people are the Bantu people that you believe you come from are on the continent, and these Bantu people, they speak the language of the continent. They speak. They have languages. They have culture that have preserved for thousands and thousands of years. If you believe that you are an Israelite and you come from these people, you shouldn't be going to Jewish people to look for a language that is yours. No, you should go to these people that where your ancestors came from, to look for your authentic language. You should go to these people to look for something that looks like your culture. Now, not the Jewish people, and that's where the deception come in, because many people are being converted into Judaism because they don't want to associate with African, because Africa to them is portrayed the way it is. Now, when you look at the Bantu culture, for instance, I like to say that the Bible is a duplicate of Bantu culture, and the reason why I say this is because when you start to read the book of the book of the commandments, the book of the laws, you find that this is all Bantu traditions. And the reason why a continental Bantu will not be able to understand, to connect these two, is because when you grew up in a church, when you grew up as a Christian, they tell you that your Bantu culture is demonic. On one hand, they tell you your Bantu culture is demonic. On the other hand, they tell you that the Old Testament has no Holy Spirit, which means don't focus on that. Just focus on the New Testament, because that's where, we all believe in just the Messiah, and he came, and that's all that matters. Everything else don't matter. Now, although that's important, they take away the fact that they don't want you to study the Old Testament, because as soon as you study the Old Testament, and as soon as you study your Bantu culture, you realize that you are reading the same thing. I'll give you examples of why I'm saying this. Now, I've already stated that the Jewish culture is rooted in Kabbalah, and we all know what Kabbalah. If you don't know what Kabbalah is, please do some research. I don't want to go deeper into that, because today we're talking about our people, not their people, right? So one of the things that are very much Bantu that are in the Bible, you realize one of the main one, I would say the most important one, is monotheism. When I say monotheism, I mean the worship. I apologize for it's sweaty, it's hot over here. It's summer on the continent, and we'll talk about that when we're talking about the calendar as well. But it's summer over here, so it's hot. But when you talk about monotheism, what are we talking about? When you think about the Bible, right? The foundation of the Bible, the principle of the Bible is monotheism. The first commandment, the three first commandments talks about the worship of one creator, only one God. I'll for the sake of using the word. So when you think about that, that's very important. That's a primary concept of the Bible. When the Most High made Adam, he made him to worship him alone. When he chose Jacob or Jacob, he chose him alone. He said, I want you to worship me and me alone. And from that on, every time our people were led astray, or found themselves in captivity, was because they did not worship the Most High alone. And from this, they were rebuked, and from this they were rebuked, and from this they were punished, and from this, many of them lost their lives. That shows to you that the importance of the worship of one true God, one true Creator. When you look at the history of our people in the wilderness, our ancestors spent 40 years in the wilderness. The reason why they spent 40 years in the wilderness was not because they were stopping by coffee and continue on. No, it was because the Most High wanted to teach them a lesson, and the lesson was to humble themselves to Him and worship Him alone. Despite the Canaanite gods that they knew before they went to the land of Egypt, despite the Egyptian god that they knew when they went when they lived in Egypt for 430 years, despite all these factors, He wanted them to give up all this worship, all this pagan worship, all these deities, and return to Him alone. Now, what happened? Almost everybody that went into the wilderness. Only 2 people out of everybody that went into the wilderness survived. Everybody else that left Egypt as a person, as a thinking man, everybody died in the wilderness except for Caleb and Joshua. And you know why this happened? It's because all through the wilderness, they could not serve the Most. They serve him today. They break up with him tomorrow. Every time they try to keep up, with worshiping other deities instead of focusing on worshiping the Most High alone. Now, I went deep into that because I wanted you to be able to understand the magnificence, the magnitude, if you like, of the worship of the one true Creator. In Bantu culture, this is what will surprise you. The reason why I say the Bible is a duplicate of Bantu culture, because the Bantu are the only people on the face of the earth. And you can fact check me for this if you want. They are the only people on the face of the earth that practice monotheism as a culture. And you can go around, you can go even in Africa. You find other tribes in Africa who are animism, who find tribe in Africa who worship other stuff. But when you go to the Bantu land, you find that the Bantu people are the only people who practice one Creator. And this will shock you. It will even shock many Bantu people who are on the continent who don't know this, because they grew up in Christianity. In Christianity, they told them that Bantu, again, they were the nations and we are heathens, that we worship other gods. But why am I saying this? When you look at the linguistics of Bantu people prove.
Okay, is it me or has Yahunde?
Don't even think about it.
Okay, it looks like we lost Yahunde. He will be back. This is an amazing discussion. Listen, y'all, I am so thrilled to be having this topic discussed today, because it's one of those things where I feel like sometimes we could present the scriptures in a way that's over people's heads. And I wanted to get to the ABCs with this brother, particularly because he is from the continent, to get to hear his perspective, because we have to remember that this is like a relearning for all of us, with the understanding of who we actually are and what our true culture is, to understand that it is biblical, because we've been, in my estimation, we have been brain warped by religion as a whole, and particularly Christianity and Islam, Christianity being the largest religion in the world. And so we would be deceiving ourselves if we thought that the brain warping did not still have remnants inside of us, even as we know that we are true Israel. And for the African American and Caribbean community who are watching, who do not know that we are the true children of Israel, this is why discussions like this are so important. So Yahunde is in the back, and I'm going to welcome him in again, and hopefully his audio is cleared up this time, but we'll see what happens. All right, Salama, my brother, can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, I can hear you slow, like it's breaking, but I can hear half of the stuff, parts of the stuff you're saying.
We'll still do the phone. That's fine.
I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
You want me to continue?
Yes, please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So what we were talking about the Bantu people and why this is important, and the worship of the one true Creator, and when you go to every Bantu language, you find, when you ask a Bantu person what's the name of the Most High, it will tell you one particular name. When you go to the Zulu, they will tell you one particular name. When you go to the Xhosa, they will tell you one particular name. When you go to the Kikuyu, they have one name. When you go to the Congo, they will have one name. When you go to the Luba, when you go to every Bantu tribe, they believe in one supreme Creator. This is something that you will find that's unique to Bantu people. Now, why am I saying it's unique? Because people will be like, what about the Jewish people? But when you look into the Kabbalah, the Jewish people don't believe in one God. Not really. When you start going, and this is what my book explains, what these people actually worship. When you go to the Arabs, which they will call the Muslim today, although today they believe in Allah, which again, when you look at the origin of the word Allah, you'll be shocked at how far back it goes. It's not the Creator, right? When you look at the history of the Arabs, it traces back to multiple gods. Before the Arabs converted into Islam, they had many other gods like that. Now, when you look at the Bantu, when you look at the what do you call them? The Greeks, right? That's what everybody knows. The Greek, when you study the Greek mythology, you realize that the Greeks have, you can't even count their god, how many gods they have, right? When you look at the Romans, these are the Europeans themselves. The Romans, we all know that if you went to school, you studied the Roman gods, right? This is very common, this common knowledge. The Roman gods, you can Google them. You'll be shocked by the number of the gods that you find on the internet. So when you ask a Greek person, what's the name of God? They will tell you which one, because they have so many of them. But when you ask a Bantu of God, they literally jump to say Mungu, Nzambi. You know, and so now the question that this brings forth is when you think about, as an African American, as a Bantu brother, or in continental Bantu, as an international Bantu, when you ask yourself, what was the name of the Most High before all this happened? The first thing that, of course, we all go to is the Bible, right? The Bible gives us the names, but when we look at the Bible, that the Bible is a translation of translation. We have to go to the root words of names, right? To where the names really what name was before what we have, before even, because the word God is in the Bible, but the word God is pagan too, right? When you think about all these things, all these factors, and you go back to what was the Most High called. The truth of the matter is, if you are looking for the truth and you really are not conditioned by the system, because many of us who went to school, we are conditioned to look for Europe, to look for European knowledge about who we are, right? And that's the problem. If you are looking for who you are as an Israelite, you want to go to the culture of your people. You want to go to, what did the Bantu people, I'm Bantu, right? And Bantu are the Israelites, and that makes me Israelite because I'm Bantu. Now, what do the Bantu call the Most High? That's where you start. I would say that's the safest word you want to use, because the Jewish people, again, the Most High call them synagogue of Satan, which means every word they speak, everything that come out of their mouth, their culture, their music, everything that they are is the synagogue of Satan. So you want to stay far away from that place, from those people as much as you can, because the Most High has already made it clear that they are the synagogue of Satan. You can't twist it. You can't pick and choose which part of the synagogue of Satan you claim. Now, they might have stolen our identity, right, as being the people, but they didn't steal anything else. The modern Hebrew, as we know it, it comes from Slavic. Slavic is the language of the Caucasus Mountains. These people didn't steal our languages. All they do, they rebranded what they have. Or that's why, and the reason why modern Hebrew sounds so much like Russian or German is because linguistically, this language streams from the same source. That's why they sound the same. Now, when you look at the ancient Hebrew as a language itself, the Bible, historians will tell you that ancient Hebrew, even linguists will tell you that the ancient Hebrew was a tonal language. Do you know what other language is a tonal language? Bantu languages. So although scholars would like to tell you that the ancient Hebrew died, right, that the ancient language died, what they don't want you to know is that the ancient Hebrew is actually spoken to this day in Africa. The Bantu people that we believe are the Israelites, right, who have been speaking these languages, that you can find evidences to prove that these languages are ancient, are literally biblical. They give you a much better breakdown of the Bible than any language you can think of. I would recommend a book by Pastor Melo, an elder who wrote a book, and it's a PDF. If you want, I can send you a PDF. It says the most intelligent language in the world, something like that. When you look up this book, it uses the language, the Kikongo language, and it breaks down. It's in that book, by counting 1 to 10 in Kikongo, you break down the whole creation story of the Bible, the book, all Genesis story, just by counting from 1 to 10 in Kikongo. The words of themselves in Kikongo, because we have numbers as words, as names, right? So we have names as numbers. So when you look at every name of every number from 1 to 10 in Kikongo, it breaks down the book of the creation story of the Bible. Now that's very powerful if you think about it. This is only Kikongo alone. If you start going deeper into every other Bantu language, you find pieces of the puzzle that will shock you. For instance, the word Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, right? Most people, when they say Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, they think it means Eloi, your father, Father, why have you forsaken me? I'm here to tell you that's not true. That's the biggest lie that I've ever been told. Because why? First of all, the Messiah, why would he say, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? When he was there when the plan was made, when he understood and he accepted the call and he knew what was going to happen to him till the end. So why would he say, Father, why have you forsaken me? Why would the Father forsake? The Bible calls the Messiah the begotten Son. Why would the Father forsake the begotten Son? When you think about that for a second, so the translation that, and it's actually, I like the fact that they kept the original words. They say, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. They left those words in there. That's very important because those words don't mean that. What now? I will take you somewhere where something that those words actually means. When you look at the Bantu languages, the Xhosa language, in Southern Africa, those exact words, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, it means, and I will say, I will speak the words, this is for the Sabbath keepers. That's what those words means. Those exact words, word per word, that's what they mean in a Bantu language. Now, why are they called? Why is this translation? This is for the Sabbath keepers, because the Messiah, when he was sent here, right? When he told the woman, the Canaanite woman, what did he tell the Canaanite woman? You cannot give the children food. To the dogs, right? And then he said that I was sent, but unto the lordship of Israel, of Israel. These are the people that the Messiah, that Isaiah was. And the Bible, and all the way from David, we hear the prophecies of him coming for the people of the Bible, for the Israelites themselves, which you call the Bantu people. Now, when you think about all of that, the Messiah coming, and then before he dies, right, he says, it is finished. What is finished? The mission. What was the mission? The mission was for the to be able to bring up the people of the Most High. Now, why am I saying why am I saying that it's important that we stick on the Bantu translation rather than what they claim is Aramaic? Because what the Bible says, when you look at the words, just go read those words in Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. You will see there's the word Eli, Eli, and then there will be lama, and then there will be sabachthani. Now, the funny part is that when you ask, because we today we know people who are called Arameans, Arameans people who are in the Middle East. I don't necessarily believe that they are really the ancient, Aramaic people. That's not true, because when I ask Arameans, when I had a contact with Arameans and asked them, what does lama means? You know what they told me? They told me lama means goat. And I told him what does sabachthani means? They didn't have a word for it. They don't even know what it means. And then now the funny part is when you look at the word sabachthani, right? Sabachthani. In Bantu languages, the word sabachthani, there's the word Sabbath in there. If you think about it, just look at the words and break them down. There's the word Sabbath in the word sabachthani. And that word Sabbath, in Bantu languages, the word for Sabbath is Sabato. Sabata. In Zulu, they say Sabata. In Swahili, they say Sabato. In the actual word for number 7 in Swahili is Saba. So the Sabachthani is literally saying the Sabbath keepers. Now, why are we called? Why is the Isaiah saying this is for the Sabbath keepers? Because again, he came for the Sabbath keepers, the Sabbath Israelites. These are the only people whom the Most High said that he would. These are the only people whom the Most High made a covenant. And he asked them to keep the Sabbath all holy every once a week. These are the same people that Isaiah came for. And when he was done, when he cried, he said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Before he passed, he was saying that the sacrifices I'm making, everything that I'm doing right now, all that's about to happen, all that's happening, that has happened, is for my people, it's for the Sabbath keepers. But of course, the translators, they wanted to make you believe that it's referring to David. And to David, who was saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? They try to lead you to that place, but the Messiah cannot say, my God, why have you forsaken me? Again, why would he say that? When he knew, he said himself, before he died, he said, before he left his disciples, he said, what? I am going to my Father, who is also your Father. You know, if he knew all these factors, there's no way he would say that. But anyways, take your time on that. And I think my book goes deeper into this. I would like you guys to go and study this for yourself, or look into this for yourself, and actually, you know, understand from your own, from the way in whatever capacity the Most High wants you to go. Now, we were talking about the culture, right? I think that's what we're talking about, the Bantu culture, right? And I've mentioned that the word Saba in Bantu culture means 7, right? The word Saba means 7. The word for Sabbath in Kiswahili means Sabato. That's where you get the word Sabbath from. The word Shabbat comes from. Again, when I'm giving you these examples is to show you that the biblical people are what? If the Bantu people are the Hebrew, if the Bantu people are the Israelites, you shouldn't be going to look for the language, the pure language from people the Most High called the synagogue of Satan. Now, the one thing that I would like to highlight here is when you start to look at the ancient Hebrew writing system, which we can all believe is ancient Hebrew writing system, but it's not just ancient Hebrew writing system. It's also Canaanite writing system. It's also Phoenician writing system. It's sometimes also Aramaic writing system. When you start to look at the writing system itself, right, and you compare with modern Hebrew, it's 2 different languages. Yeah, right? And now, most people, the mistake that most people do is that because they acknowledge that modern Hebrew is fake, is made up, right? They know that part. So no, at least not some people, not everybody, you know. But the people that do, they know this, some of them. But then after knowing this, right, what they do is that they use the same modern Hebrew language, because there's a difference between a writing system and a language. That's a very important thing to keep in mind. That a language is the spoken language. A writing system is the system that you use to write your language. Like, for instance, right now, Bantu people write their language in Roman writing system. The alphabet, the A, B, C, D. That we have today all over the world. That's the Roman letters. That's what we call them. Everybody around the world now write their language in Roman language. Does that make the Bantu language Roman? Of course not. It just means that the Bantu people, because they were colonized by the Romans, by the Europeans who used this writing system, that's now they had to write their language. So they maintain their language using the Roman writing system. When the Arabs came in the continent, when you go to the history of East Africa, when the Arabs came into the continent, they imposed their writing system on the Bantu. The Bantu maintained their language, but they use the Arabic writing system to write their language. The same way when the Babylonians oppressed our people, we use the Babylonian writing system but maintain our language. When you were in Egypt,
okay, it looks like Yahunde is frozen again. When he comes back, okay, when he comes back, what I want to do is I want to give him the opportunity to begin to take us into some of the language. All right, so we're going to have a little bit of a lesson today. This is such a great conversation because I'm telling you, just breaking down and breaking free from the Europeanization, the colonization of our minds is so important. So what I'm going to do, because he's sharing with all of us about the differences in the language, but what I'm going to have him do is actually break down some of these words that he actually shares in his book. So let me just pull this up really quickly. I don't know why it's not showing here at the moment. Let me see if I can get him back on the screen. Okay. Yahunde, are you there? Are you there? Okay, he's still working on trying to get in there. So he'll probably come in and come out. But he has some words, right, that he breaks down from the different Bantu languages, because as someone pointed out, Bantu is a series also of languages. Now, Bantu does mean people, as we heard, Abba, father's nation, or father's people. But the languages in the Bantu culture, there are some of them that we are familiar with, like Swahili, for example, and Kikongo. So I'm going to have him, as soon as I get the opportunity, to show us some of these languages. I was hoping that this thing could get pulled up, but I don't know, can y'all see the split screen? Are you able to see the split screen? Do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat. Shout out to my brother. Lorvin's in the building. All right. Yes. Praise y'all. It is a breath of fresh air to have this conversation. It definitely is. And another shout out to my baby bro, Big Red. What's going on, bro? Thank you so much for your gift of membership, 10 memberships. I appreciate you, bro. It's so good to see you. It's been a while. All right, let me try to see here. Okay, y'all can't see this. I don't know why, because I'm telling y'all, the enemy is just, listen, y'all know the devil be mad, right? Y'all know the enemy be mad if you try to stop stuff from being able to be seen and displayed. And I don't know what is going on. Let me see, maybe if I change my screen. Maybe if I do like that. Let me see what's up. Okay, my picture mode. This is so weird, right? Because I can see it in the background, but I cannot, for whatever reason, bring it up. So I'm just going to ask him to share some of the meanings of the word. As a matter of fact, I think I'll go ahead and share some of them. All right, I'll share some. Let's just keep the conversation going. So, Bantu vocabulary, while we're waiting for him to come back on, because he's still in the background having a little bit of issues. And if we have to would y'all like to have another interview with Brother Yahunde? Would y'all like to have him on again? Do me a favor and put some fire emojis in the chat if you'd like for him to come back on, right? So that he can dissect more of Bantu culture and how it connects to us as the children of Israel. If you'd like him to come on again after today, because y'all know we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, do me a favor and put some fire emojis up, and then I'm going to do a little bit of the language, right? And hopefully, all right, we got some fire emojis coming in. All right. Praise Yah. We got some folk in the building like, yes, let's bring brother on. Okay. We need this. We need our people to be able to come together, right? Because all of us has a missing part of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? We all have a missing part of the puzzle that we need to be able to put back together, right? So that's what we're doing here. And let me see. I'm going to see if I can pull him up really quickly, but I think that it's still giving him some problems. So let's see if he is able to get in here. And if not, then I'm going to go over the Bantu vocabulary while we're waiting for him to come back on. Okay, so he's still having some problems. But let me go ahead and see what's going on. Let me actually reply to him because he's wondering what's going on. I keep trying to let you in, but it's not coming on. So go out again and try to come back in again. All right, fam. So let's go over some Bantu vocabulary. So we have the word tata, all right? Tata means father in Kikongo, also tata in Yahunde and other Bantu languages. Then we have Nzambi. Now, I know I've heard of Nzambi before. Have y'all heard of Nzambi? There's like, when it comes to that particular word, there's a lot of people who have different ideas about that word. Some people have said that actually refers to zombies, right? So I'm not too sure. That's why we're getting educated today, right? But I'm not too sure about that belief system, because according to Yahunde, that Nzambi is the name of the Most High. It's the name of the Most High in Kikongo. And we have to understand this. He's 100% correct in that Africa as a whole has been demonized, right? Africa has been demonized to us. Now, if you go on the continent, you're going to see other nations there, and they're prospering and they're building up and they're taking all of the natural resources. But when it comes to the quote unquote African American, the British Black, the Caribbean Black, when it comes to Africa, it's like, don't go over there. They're doing hoodoo and voodoo, right? So we have to be very careful about the representation that we're receiving when it comes to the characterization of our people as a whole. So Nzambi is quoted as the name of the Most High in Kikongo. All right. And then we have Onga Tata, name of the Most High in Yahunde. All right. Onga Tata. That's the name of the Most High in Yahunde. And then you have Mungu, name of the Most High in Kiswahili. So you see, some of the languages have a little bit of intersection. I'm going to try to bring him back in again. It is still kind of swirling, so I'm going to let him know. Still trying to bring you back in, but we're having some swirls on the computer, some streaming slow on your end. So I'm going over the vocabulary from your book so that they can get a better understanding of Bantu languages. So, all right, so I'm going to continue on. We have Baba, which is father in Kiswahili. This is why you want to get his book, so that you can begin to be able to understand these languages. Because when we're in school, they want to teach us Spanish, they want to teach us French. They don't want to teach us Kikongo. They don't want to teach us Kiswahili. They don't want to teach us these languages that actually our people knew before we were colonized, right? Because English, Spanish, and French are actually all colonizer languages that stem from Latin, right? So we need to know what our languages were that have the original Hebraic roots. We need to know them. So definitely want to get his book so that you all can get some learning when it comes to this. My husband and I we were trying to learn Kiswahili, so this is awesome. All right, so we have Baba, which is father in Kiswahili, also Abba. Mungu Baba means Father God. All right, then you have Bana, son or child in Kikongo, Mwana in Kiswahili. Then you have Sonini Nanini. That's the name of the Most High in Xhosa. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, please correct me. If it's Xhosa or Xhosa, Nini. All right. Then you have Mwezi. Mwezi is the Kiswahili word for moon or female menstrual cycle. That is very interesting. That's very interesting. Then you have Mwaka, which is the word for year in Kiswahili. Mwaka Empaya means New Year. Mwaka Empaya. Then do y'all like am I pronouncing these words all right? Oh, you got to use the click sound for, like the Zoza. I don't know how to do the click sound. I don't know how to do the click sound. I'm sorry. Okay. This is y'all, we learning. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a Southern girl, Southern Caribbean girl, right? So I'm trying not to make it sound too European. Pasaka is Passover in Kiswahili. Pasaka. You all have heard the term Pasak, right? So that's close. Pasaka, Passover in Kiswahili. Chapati, unleavened bread in Kiswahili. Makati chachu, right? Chapati, unleavened bread. So when y'all are celebrating the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when you're celebrating Passover, now you can say chapati for the unleavened bread and Pasaka for Passover. Now, this one I thought was actually very interesting. The reason why I thought it was interesting is because we have actually heard this word in the United States around this time of year, and this word has been made a mockery. We've actually been told this is not even a true word, that this is just something that African Americans who don't know their identity try to make up. This word is the word Kwanzaa. All right? Come on, family. Y'all know, keep it 100. The word Kwanzaa is actually a Kiswahili word, right? And Kwanzaa means first. All right? It means first. Matunda Kwanzaa means first fruits. Y'all, we learning something today. Talisha says, Ashanda, I just learned that Malawi means the Levites. Lawi, Levi. That makes sense, right? Because the letter V was actually not in the original language either. The letter J and the letter V, it was the letter W. So that makes a lot of sense too. Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, let's continue while we're waiting for Yahunde to come back on. And if he's not able to come back on today, y'all, we're going to bring him back on. But I'm going to go through all this vocabulary, and I'm going to show y'all where you can get his book on Amazon. I had some more questions for him, but if he's not able to come back on today, I will ask those questions later of him. So the next word is Toba, Feast of Atonement in Kiswahili. All right. Toba means Feast of Atonement in Kiswahili. And then we have Ushindi. Ushindi. Ushindi is what my family and I are in the middle of right now. We are celebrating Ushindi, which is the Feast of Dedication. Now, we have heard from the Ashkenazi word that they call modern Hebrew, which is Yiddish, of Hanukkah, right? But the word for the Feast of Dedication, which we, like I said, we're actually still celebrating every night for the next, for 7 nights, we light the candles and we read from the scripture. Particularly, we're reading from the book of Revelation about the 7 churches because of the golden lampstand, and we pray. And for every day that we pray, if you're wondering how you can celebrate the Feast of Dedication or Shindi, is that for every day we pray, we add a prayer. So yesterday we had the day 3 and we had 3 prayers. Tonight we will have 4 prayers. And so that's how we are celebrating Ushindi in our home. And again, that is the Feast of Dedication in Kiswahili. All right. So the next word is Baragumu. Baragumu. This is the Feast of Trumpets, which actually just passed like last month, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, the Feast of Trumpets, okay? In Kiswahili is Baragumu. Baragumu, okay? Then you have Sukkah. That's the Feast of Tabernacles, or Ingathering in Kiswahili. Then you have Mavuno, Feast of Weeks. So Mavuno is the Feast of Weeks, and this is all in Kiswahili. Now, here's a term that we're very familiar with as well. That term is Zulu. If you're familiar with the term Zulu, I want you to put in the chat what you think Zulu means, okay? Tell me what you think Zulu means. Yes, sis, this is awesome. I was so glad when I got, the portion of his book, because, I mean, right away, I'm sitting there and I feel like I'm in school again. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm, taking notes and trying to understand what he's communicating. This is definitely awesome. So y'all do me a favor and support our brother getting his book, Sunset to Sunset, our Bantu calendar. And today is actually the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of the day that he released it on Amazon. So it's perfect timing. Okay, so we got a couple of y'all. Let me say what y'all think the Zulu means. All right, Locke says heaven. Eric says a people. Minnie says warrior. Hot Water says warrior. Tribe of people, warrior, heaven, a people, tribe of something, Zulu equals heaven. So let's see what it is in the Kikongo. Now we're out of Kiswahili and we are into the Kikongo language. And for those of you who said it means heaven, you are right. Heaven in Kikongo. Also a name of a Bantu tribe in South Africa, right? We are familiar with the Zulus, right? The Zulu nation. But Zulu as a word in Kikongo means heaven. Or as we would say, many of us have heard the word Shemayim. Have you heard the word Shemayim? Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of the word Shemayim. So we have to dissect, where are we getting these languages from, right? Where are we getting this understanding of words? Because there are multiple languages in the world, but we want to get back to the heart of our culture, our language, because that's what was taken from us, y'all. That's what was stolen from us, right? So we know the term Shemayim, but in Kikongo, Zulu means heaven. All right. So got a couple more to do, and then we're going to wrap it up. We have Maleki. Maleki, and this is actually very close to the word we've heard. It means an angel in Kikongo, right? So we've heard Malak or something along those lines. Not Molech, y'all. I'm not talking Molech, but like Malak. We've heard something along those lines in terms of an angel or a messenger. So it's Maleki in Kikongo, Malaka in Kiswahili. So there's intersection. There's a closeness in the Kikongo and the Kiswahili to the word angel, Maleki or Malaka. All right. And y'all know we say it all the time. I go back and forth between it, shalom and salama, right? Salama means peace. Peace is also a greeting in Kiswahili, Dar Salam, house of peace. All right. So Dar Salam, for those of you who are not familiar, Dar Salam is the capital city in the country of Tanzania, which is in East Africa. So I'm trying to break all of this down for us who are still on the path of learning and growing. But Dar es Salaam is the capital city in the country of Tanzania, and Dar es Salaam means house of peace. Then the final word that we are going, actually we got a couple more. We have Yerusalama. Yerusalama. That is Chicago for Jerusalem or city of peace. All right. Yerusalama. All right. Then we have Congo, which is belt of truth or truth in Kikongo. Did y'all know that? Belt of truth? That's what the word Congo means. That's crazy. Yes, that's what it is. Melech equals king. That's right. That's right. Like Melchizedek, right? So that's where we're getting that word from. All right. Got a couple more. We have Mbanza Congo. Mbanza Congo. Mbanza in Kikongo means capital or city. City of truth. Wow, y'all. This is interesting. This is so interesting. Okay, we got about 10 left to go. I'm going to go ahead and read them and get through them. And again, if you want to be able to learn these words, you need to grab this book. Yisiya. Yisiya is the Kikongo word for Yahushua or Yahusha, right? One who comes in the name of Yah. So Yisiya is how his name is pronounced in Kikongo. Isole. Isole means Israelite. You've heard him say that even today. Isole in Kikongo means I have loved you. Now, family, I'm going to stop right there for just a minute because he talked about in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. I believe it's either 2, verse 9 or 3, verse 9. It's actually Revelation 3, verse 9. It's talking specifically to the church of Philadelphia. And he says that he will make the SOS bow down and acknowledge Yisole. Acknowledge Yisole, that I have loved you. Come on, family. That's amazing. That is amazing to me. That is so, so amazing. So Yisole in Kikongo means I have loved you. And it also means Israelites. That's what it means. Oh, hallelujah. Praise Yah for the truth coming out. Wow. Okay. Yahunde. Yahunde means Judah. Also the capital city of Cameroon. Bahunde tribe in Congo. Okay. Bahunde tribe in Kikongo. And y'all might have noticed that word Bahunde. Bahunde is actually the tribe which our brother Yahunde is from. Okay. We actually joked about this a little bit as I was doing a preliminary interview with him, that his father named him after his tribe with Yahunde, and the name of his tribe is Bahunde. All right. So Yahunde is Judah, but the capital city of Cameroon. Habiro. Habiro is Kikuyu. Kikuyu is a Bantu word for Hebrew. Habiro also means black. All right. Then we have Abana. Abana is Abraham in Kikongo, father of many children or nations. Then we have Yeseka. Yeseka is Isaac in Kikongo, Sheka in Kiswahili, meaning laughter. Y'all know that Isaac means laughter. So Yeseka is actually how it's pronounced in Kikongo. Yakuba. Y'all know that's Jacob in Kikongo. Kuba tribe in Kobe, Bahunde. Then we have three more, y'all. We've got Kimbo, which means glory or praise in Kikongo. Kumbo, Natata Nanzambi, glory or praise in Kikongo. And Ingeda, so be it in Kikongo, better alternative for amen. because amen means so be it. So ingeta. So if you don't want to say amen, you can say ingeta. And bayeti, hail in Zulu. Hail in Zulu. Remember that Zulu is also a tribe, but it is also the meaning of the word heaven, a traditional Zulu royal salute. So I hope y'all have fun. All right. Yes, ma'am. We are going to be speaking Swahili. Now, listen, my name actually, what I was supposed to be named if my mother did not lose that Monopoly game, my middle name, Nia, means, go ahead, sweetheart. My middle name is Nia. That's a name that many of us are very familiar with, but that is a Kiswahili or a Swahili word, actually, which means purpose. All right. So I am bound to speak Swahili. It is just going to happen. I'm going to speak Swahili. Oh, man. Not yet, but it is definitely a plan of my family and I to go to the continent soon, right? Yes, I am outside of America. I am in the VI. And I'm grateful to be outside of America because, again, you know, there's so much culture, right, that we miss out on when we're just in the United States. We get an opportunity to engage with so many other of our people and see the similarities that we all hold that are in the diaspora and on the continent, just like I'm having this discussion today with author Yahunde Batakane. When we get outside of these walls that they have enclosed us in, and this is why I'm grateful for us to be able to have discussions like this. Now, unfortunately, Yahunde has not been able to get back on. He's having technical difficulties, and that is something that we deal with at times on the continent as technical difficulties. But all praises to Yah for the information that he was able to present to us. And I'm going to see if it will allow me to pull up his link on Amazon. This is, okay, for whatever reason, it is not even working on my end. I cannot pull up a screen print, but I have pinned it in the chat. You all click on that link and support this brother and his work because he's put extensive work in. And for those of you who are like being cynical, like I've noticed some of the commentary being cynical, and you could be trolls. You could definitely be trolls. But for those of you who are being cynical, I need to help you to understand that the purpose behind us coming in and dialoguing together is so that we will all learn, so that we will grow. I think that it's a shame that we as a people have become so prideful that we hold on to our little bits of information and think that we are the authority, and how all other information is supposed to be dispersed or communicated. It's very problematic among us because what it does is it cuts us off from being able to really, truly gain the heart of the Father that was taken from us because we're trying to hold on to positions. This is something that I know that Christianity is huge in teaching. They call it defending the faith, or they call it apologetics. But in reality, it's not. It's a portion of it's built to keep you in defense mode and keep you ignorant. So I think that it's very important that we do guard our hearts, but we also be open to learning about other people's culture and identity so that we can get parts of the missing puzzle that we each have, because none of us has the whole picture. So I just want to put that out there and say none of us has the whole picture. So we're learning and we're growing. We're learning and we're growing. And we ask Yahuwah to help us to chew the meat and to spit out the bones. That's very, very important. So with that in mind, I hope that y'all had a fantastic time today in spite of the technical difficulties. I do hope that this message that Yahunde was able to share today gets out and y'all share it in your socials, that you get the conversation continued, because the conversation is going on, not just on my channel, it's going on all over the world. Why? Because this awakening cannot be stopped. It cannot be stopped. So praise Yah for continuing to add to our understanding, to grow us up, because he says in his word in Hosea 4:6 that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So those of you who reject it, that is your portion. You're destroyed. So we don't want to reject the knowledge that he is opening up the eyes of our understanding to. I want to give a quick shout out to those of you who have given by way of Cash App. This is a shout out to Yah is Salvation. Thank you so much for your gift. I really appreciate you. Thank you also for Sister Melanie for your gift, Sister Diamond, right? I just want to thank you so much. I apologize. I didn't read the rest of your message until just this second, but thank you so much for your gift as well. Thank you to my brother Big Red for your membership. Thank you all for continuing to support this platform. And I look forward to bringing you more great content as the Most High allows me to be able to share with all of you. I pray that you all continue to grow. And more importantly, I pray that you all continue to grow in him, right? It's not just about understanding knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge to knowing him. That's the key, is to know him, know how he wants to be worshiped, know what he requires, and know how to live that kodashim, or that set apart life, so that you don't look like a tear. We are not the religion of the tares. We are not a religion. We are a people of the book, a people of the covenant. So thank you so much for those of you who have tuned in today. And I'm going to go ahead and close out. But as I say all the time, family, you know, we got to continue, especially in this day and time, to love ourselves without hating our enemies. And until next time, family, Yah bless and Salam.